Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Please ignore my backdrop. I'm officially in my new house, but there is not a very good place to film because my room, I'll just quickly show you. My room is just yeah, it's just not ideal, but we're making it work. I will show you the full tour a little bit later when it's all looking a little bit nicer. But for today, I just wanted to kind of go through what it was like arriving in Canada. Obviously, if you haven't seen, I did do an arrival experience sit down chat, which was mainly more about the immigration side of things and how that went. Whereas today, I want to kind of tell you a little bit about what we did when we got to Canada and the kind of things that you'll need to do and organize. And yeah, I guess I'm just gonna get straight into it. Like I said, there's obviously a lot of information online. Everything that I learned, I just learned from the Facebook group, reading online, blogs, vlogs on YouTube, all sorts of stuff. So this is just what I've learned from other people online. Obviously do your own research, but I just wanted to share my experience and just ignore my roommates out there. When you get your work permit straight from the immigration, right, make sure you take a photo of it because that's super important. Make sure that you check it so that, you know, you can make sure it's definitely 2 years, that it's an open work permit, that all the details, all the spelling, everything is correct, because obviously you're going to use that work permit in the future for like your job and whatever, so it needs to be correct. If it's not, you can like go back in there, or pretty sure if something's wrong with it, you can go back like a few days after or whatever. And make sure that you put it in a folder. So I have like a black folder with, you know, like just the usual folders, and I put everything into a little slip so that it's protected from the environment, obviously, because it's basically like your passport. You want to look after it like it's your passport. You need it for everything, every time you travel, every time you do anything. So don't fold it up, okay? Just don't fold it up. Don't, just keep it somewhere safe that you can always keep an eye on. The next thing that's probably most important is to get a phone, unless you have a phone that does you know, international roaming for cheap. The probably best thing to do is just get a phone ASAP so that you can like avoid those extra charges. We went with TELUS because TELUS, number one, has good service out on the mountain and in Whistler, also I've been told. And I also found out that TELUS does a deal. If you work on the mountain, you can get like a discounted plan. So we went and got a phone plan. You could just get a SIM to start with if you want, but I'm pretty sure most Canadian phone services offer like a plan without a credit check or anything like that. And I think all they need is, you know, like an address, but you can just use your hostel or whatever, so it's not a huge deal. Obviously this is for if you bring your own phone with you, then you can just get a plan which is for the SIM. If you're going to get a new phone, I think you need a credit history, so you probably won't be able to get a phone plan straight away if you need a phone. But yeah, you can just get a SIM. It's very straightforward, and then yeah, everyone can start messaging you. Keep in mind that the data is quite low here and it's expensive, so I think our plan for 15 gigs was supposed to be $70 or something around that, but we got discounted through working for Whistler and it's down to $50, so we pay $50 for 15 gig, which is pretty crazy, but it is what it is. And there's heaps of Wi-Fi, so it's like not a huge deal. And also they can change your data each month if you want more, so it's not the end of the world if you pick one and then change in the future. And also you don't pay anything up front, you pay, I don't know, you pay in the future, so that's good. The next important thing that you're going to need is a SIN number. So a SIN number is basically like the Canadian version of a tax file number. It's a very easy process. It's just that there's usually lines, and especially if it's like before winter season, there's a lot of people going there, and it's also where you go to get your passport, so there's other people there as well. So we were told to line up like an hour before they open. So we got to the line at 7:30 and they were due to open at 8:30. There was already, I would say, maybe 30 people in front of us, which was crazy. So to get the SIN, you had to go to a place called Service Canada. There's many locations through Canada, and we went to Vancouver. We went to, I think, the one on Hastings Street in downtown Vancouver, which I've been told is like a quite busy one. So that's again why we went early. At 8:30 we went in. They made us wear masks. Once we went in there, we went and sat on some chairs and waited to be called, and then we would see an officer. You need to bring your work permit, your passport, and then you have to give them details like your name. You have to give an address, which can be like, if you know an address, or just even the hotel, I think is fine. It's not a huge deal. They'll also need your parents' names, like your mother's maiden name, and that's basically it. You just read some stuff and just you know, say that you're okay with them having your information, and then they give you your SIN number on a piece of paper, which again you want to take a photo of and then put in your folder. After that, we went to the bank. We went with CIBC, which is like a well-known bank in Canada. They do 2 years no fees for newcomers, which is obviously perfect for people on a working holiday because you're on your visa for 2 years. You have to book an appointment in advance. Again, it was very straightforward. Nothing really went wrong at all, I don't think. We gave all of our normal details like your phone number, name, address. We just gave the address of the staff housing office, which apparently a lot of people do. Like everyone that we saw knew the address, which was really funny. And we set up, yeah, it's like technically a checking account. They do like checking account, whatever the fuck that means. And then we also set up a savings account so that like our spare money will go in the savings account. So actually, let me explain what we did as a couple. We did 2 separate checking accounts, right? And then we have one savings account that we can both share into, which is I think under both our names. And then we have one credit card which is in Stefan's name. I can't remember why, but like, which kind of irked me, but it doesn't matter. It's in his name, but I'm an authorized user, which means that I can use it and pay it and whatever, but it's in his name, so he has to sign for it and that kind of thing. The bank account and the debit card we got straight away. It was probably about a 1 hour process, but we took more like 2 hours just because we were chatting the whole time and just learning stuff about Canada. And then they were going to get our credit card sent to Whistler, which usually takes about a week or 2 weeks, and they would give us an email or call, and then we would go and grab it. I mean, we're probably not going to use it that much anyway, but it's good over here to have a credit history, so they need to see that you've, you know, been paying back your credit or whatever, so that it's easier to get loans, easier to get rentals, easier to get home loans and all that kind of things. Another important thing that you will need, which actually I don't really understand, but I'm just going to see what happens when I word vomit this out, and then you can take from it what you want. So as far as I am aware, BC let you do a straight swap of your Australian license to a BC license because we're from like a recognized country. So what you can do is bring in your driver's license and your driving history, right? And they will just give you a BC license, but it needs to be within the first 90 days that you arrive. Now keep in mind, I have no idea what happens after the 90 days. As far as I was concerned, I thought you could drive on your license for 6 months as a tourist, but maybe I'm not really a tourist, I don't know. But I was reading on the Facebook group, they said you can still do it after the 90 days. It's just that you shouldn't drive after the 90 days. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know anything specifically. This is just my experience. So I went on my South Australian government whatever thing months ago and got a driving history report sent to me, which was $20, and they just do a PDF version now because everything's online, right? So I printed that out. It's got like when we got our license and all this kind of stuff. And when we arrived at the driver's license place, which is called ICBC, I'm pretty sure, in downtown Vancouver, we gave it to them and they said they couldn't accept our driving history report because it needs to be in a sealed envelope so that they know it's like not a scam or being changed or whatever. So I was like, okay, right, well, And she said, oh, you can get them to fax us a copy. I'm just like, okay, sure, like I'll just fucking call them up. It's the government, like, do you know how hard these people are to communicate with? But I was like, sure, no worries. And they were like, yeah, they always fax us, it'll be totally fine. And I'm like, how do you know it's from them? They said, oh, you know, when they fax us, like it comes with a signature or something so that we know. I'm like, cool, whatever. So I called Service SA on my normal phone, which cost me a lot of money. And they said, no, we don't fax. I'm like, yeah, I didn't think you did because it's 2022. They said they could send an email copy, which they ended up not accepting either, because an email could be a scam too. I'm just like, what the, I'm not trying to scam you, I'm just trying to get my license. Anyway, so we've got a post copy coming to us in Whistler, which cost us another $20. So that's a $40 plus the international call, which like you don't even want to know how much that was. So all in all, make sure you get it in an envelope. I guess you have to go in person and ask them to send it in like a special thing, whatever. That was our experience. I don't know if that's what happened for everyone else, but yeah, what a mess. But that was the only really thing that's gone wrong, which is not a big deal because we don't need our license anyway. So another important thing that you'll need over here is obviously winter gear if you're coming over for winter. I would personally, if you have like nice stuff that you want to bring, sure, bring it. But if you want something really good quality, I would just wait and buy stuff over here. Number one, because it's better quality over here, it's designed for the Canadian winter. Number two, you could get discounts in Whistler or wherever you go, depending on your job. Like we get a 40% off on retail in Whistler, so obviously that's like a lot of money, which is good. And then another thing is it doesn't get super cold straight away, so you don't need to stress about like packing every little thing. It's going to gradually get colder and colder, and you can see what you need or what you like and just grow your wardrobe as you go, I think is much better. And you can see what you actually wear and where you actually get cold. So that's what we did, and that's been really good so far. I've bought like, you know, trackies and jumpers and gloves, that kind of thing, as we went, as it got colder and colder. The only other thing that you'll like really desperately need is some sort of bus pass. So obviously when you get to the major city that you arrive in, you'll probably need to catch public transport to get places. You can usually buy some sort of like reusable card. They sometimes charge a fee for the card. In Vancouver we ended up just buying like single tickets because we walked a lot of places. But and like when I caught the train from the airport, we just bought a single ticket, which, you know, I guess it adds up slowly, but we didn't really use it too much. And then when we got to Whistler, we bought a 6-month bus pass, mainly just because it was on special. But buying the monthly pass is much better value than just buying single tickets, because a single ticket is like, in Whistler anyways, $2.50 and one way. And we got our normally a 6-month pass is $270. We got it for $160 because they were doing a special deal because of the strike, which is gonna be like, we've already probably paid it off. It's incredible. You definitely will use the bus a lot if you're going to like a ski town, and also in the cities. I think you will as well. If you're used to driving a car, you're going to realize that you need to get around somehow, and you're not going to be able to walk everywhere. So that's my only other major thing. All in all, everything went pretty well. I'm definitely glad that we like planned it out and spaced out all of our appointments just in case things run long. Don't try and squeeze it into all into one day. Obviously the government services and the banks are only open on weekdays, so you need to plan for like, I would plan at least like 2 days. If you're here on a Friday, make sure you're there on the Monday too in case something goes wrong. Yeah, I mean, you could squeeze it all into one day, but I wouldn't risk it, especially if you're then going to a ski town where there's not as many services. It's definitely important to like give yourself enough time, and you kind of want to like just settle in anyway, and you don't want to be rushing. It's not something that you want to rush. You want to make sure everything's done properly to save yourself in the future. So I hope that helps explain like what you'll need as you arrive. Definitely plan in advance, book your appointments, make sure you're prepared and write down what you need, when you need it, where you need to go, and you'll have a very smooth experience like me, other than my stupid driver's history report, which like, it's just like irks me because they didn't tell me that and it doesn't say it on the website, and I just, yeah, like I've never done anything wrong driving ever. I've like barely ever even sped, and they won't even give me this license, and they have no idea how much it irks me, but we're gonna let it go because it is what it is. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to learn more about getting the visa, I'm gonna put it right on the screen so you can just click it and then you're good to go. All right, catch ya.